Greetings, fellow humans, and welcome to the Book Wormhole. Well, we made yet another turn around the sun, so it's time to reflect on the happenings of this past year. A lot has happened. While I started this channel in 2020, this was the first year I've remained active entirely throughout, updating at least once a month. I started doing wrap-up videos rather than trying to make individual review videos for every single book I read. That was part of the reason I stopped updating last year, because I quickly fell behind, and then it made me not want to read any more books to fall behind even more. A lot I'm still figuring out on this channel, but I think overall my quality of videos has improved a lot. Even compared to things I just uploaded 6 months ago, sometimes I'll go back to older videos and it's painful to watch. I also became more involved in the booktube community and finally started to make friends with other booktubers. I participated in my first live stream reading sprints, as well as writing sprints, and I hosted both of each. This was the first year I participated in readathons, namely Sci-Fi September and the Monster High readathon. I also did my first buddy read this year, followed by like 6 others. I discovered I really like doing buddy reads. For me, it solves the problem of wanting someone to talk about books with while I'm reading them, but not wanting to commit to a book club. With buddy reads, I usually end up comparing TBRs with another booktuber, and together we decide on which book to read. All of these things I mentioned are things I want to continue to do in the next year. I changed my channel name. When I first made this channel, I knew books were going to take up a large portion of the content I'd post, but I still thought I was going to be posting other content as well. But now I've settled into entirely dedicating this channel to booktube with just a dash of authortube. And I wanted a new channel name that would reflect that. Also, spicy miso ramen, as I found out, was very difficult to find while searching for, and all the results that came up were recipes, so yeah, I kind of needed to change it. I really wanted something that people would immediately know that this is a booktube channel and that sci-fi was going to be my main focus. And after months of debating over channel names, suddenly the perfect pun hit me: the Book Wormhole. For this video, I'm going to break down what I read this past year into some stats. Like I did last year, I want to pick 3 books I read in 2021 that are my best reads of the year. Unlike last year's wrap-up, I'm not going to talk about books I'm looking forward to coming out in 2022, mostly because I honestly haven't been paying attention. I also found that throughout 2021, I just kept hearing about more and more books coming out as the year progresses, and the list I had at the end of last year versus what I have now is it's like quadrupled in size. But please tell me in the comments below what 2022 releases you are most looking forward to. Please help me. Then I want to take some time to talk about goals for my channel next year, and finally I wanted to make a slideshow of every book I read in 2021 and what I rated it, so I've done that, and I'm sticking it at the end of this video in case anyone gets bored. I'll admit that part is mostly to indulge myself. I've read 57 books, which my goal this year was 50 books. I'm kind of impressed I made and surpassed my goal, given that I think I only read 30 books last year. There's definitely a handful of factors that helped out, such as having more time to read and probably just getting faster at reading through practice. Of 57 books, 17 of those were 2021 releases. I gave an average rating of 4.37, and by genre I read 43 science fictions, 6 fantasy, 3 contemporary, 3 nonfiction, 3 horror, and 1 erotica. There's some overlap in genre there, by the way, in case anyone's doing the math and is like, Robin, that doesn't add up to 57. Of these, 26 were young adults / middle grade. By gender, I read 31 books by women authors, 24 by men authors, and 5 by non-binary authors. And there's also some overlap there because K.A. Applegate are a husband-wife duo. And I've read 24 books with some form of LGBT representation. This year, I finished 4 series and started 13 new series. One of which I'm thinking I'm just going to abandon because I didn't like the first book that much. And without further ado, time to announce my top 3 books of the year. Alex, an AI's Guide to Love and Murder by Brent A. Harris. I had high expectations for this book, so the fact that this book exceeded expectations is honestly what earned its place as one of the books of the year. The horror parts were so effective. I binge read half of this book in one go because I couldn't put it down. It has one of my favorite characters to hate in it, and I love how when there was this moment where this character could have gotten a half-assed redemption arc that most stories would have gone for, it just completely shuts it down. And I just love that about this book because not every person deserves a redemption arc. I love that there is a queer main character, and I wasn't expecting it to be a story with a self-discovery plot. Usually I'm not crazy about reading those, but this one was just really oddly relatable to my own experience in a way that no book before has been. Also, the title kicks ass. The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. I think this is the only book to date that other people have read because I talked about it on my channel, which is so cool to me. At least it's the only one people have said they read because of me. So that definitely puts this one in favor of being one of my top reads. But also, and I swear by this book is a modern classic. This book will be studied in the future. It's such a powerful feminist science fiction that is so brilliantly executed. It explores inequality, gender roles, reproductive rights, body image, abuse, and enablers of abuse. Seriously, I need to give this book its own analysis video because there is so much going on in it. Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. This didn't come out in 2021, but it doesn't have to be one of my top reads. I like the overall Binti series, but the first book was just... This book just perfectly exemplifies what I love most about science fiction and aliens. It really lit up every single one of my dopamine receptors. For such a small book, so much world was established. I love the incorporation of the real Himba tribe. I absolutely love the biotech in this book. Shrimp spaceships is possibly one of the coolest bits of tech I've seen so far in any science fiction I've read. I may be late to the game on this one. I know I'm not the first person to say how incredible this book is, but let this be a sign for anyone who has not yet read it to go ahead and read it already. I'm aiming to read 75 books next year. I think that's a reasonable goal after seeing how much I read this past year while still up in the ante. I want to get better at DNFing books when I'm not enjoying them. I have this habit of holding on to this belief that the book might suddenly get better or that the ending might make the whole story. But if I'm at a point where I'm dreading reading and just want to move on to my next read, I want to listen to that instinct a little more so I can give more time to books I really like. However, I'm still going to continue to not rate any books that I didn't finish reading, because I don't think that's fair. I want to read more nonfiction since I really enjoyed what nonfiction I read this year. I also want to focus less on current releases while incorporating more classic or older science fiction reads, since I kinda got away from that this year. I think I only read 3 older science fiction books this year, and I think that's because I felt like I needed to cover new releases as they came out, but at the same time I feel like when you focus too much on the new stuff, that's how we end up getting like every single booktuber talking about these same books ad nauseum. I want to try to find a balance in the books I'm reading month to month. Ideally, I'd be reading like one older science fiction, one newer, one popular one, and one obscure each month. But we'll see how that goes. I want to continue reading Animorphs. Ideally, I'd read one book from the series each month, but I'll be happy if I end up reading at least one more book in the series next year. And I like to finish a few of the series I've started and haven't yet finished reading. Series are something I always struggle with since it's hard not to get distracted by a shiny new book. I've also struggled to read anthologies this past year as well. Despite genuinely really liking short stories, those always take longer for me to read because I can only usually read 1 or 2 stories in a row before needing to take a break to let my mind digest what I've just read. I also want to start doing more AuthorTube videos on this channel, and there's a couple of ideas for different booktube videos I want to try out that I haven't yet done on this channel. Thanks to everyone who stuck with me this past year while I've been trying to figure this channel out. Thanks to everyone who's new here. Honestly, just thanks to everyone who has given me and this channel a chance. Again, let me know in the comments what 2022 books you're most looking forward to, and or let me know what your favorite book you read this past year was. I'm going to leave you here with my painstakingly created ending slideshow of books. If you don't stick around for it, I understand. Thanks for watching, and remember to support your local library and shop independent bookstores when you can, and I hope to see you next year. For this video, I'm going to break down For this video, I'm going to break down